pay my condolences to a family member who had a death in the family. And it was a cause for joy. It wasn't a sad time. But now I'm at a McDonald's. I'm at a McDonald's. Glad to just pop someplace where I could do this soon. And so, if in fact there's a little bit of noise in the background, please bear with me. Please be patient. This is a really, really special Zoom. This is not like something that we've done thus far in our company. We have not had a conversation like this. And this is, in fact, a conversation. It's not a presentation. I asked Blake to be here this evening, and I asked Larry to be here this evening, and we're going to have a conversation. And the first thing that I kind of want you all to get to know Blake. And you've known Blake up until now in his role in making the various presentations, but I don't think you really know Blake. And so, Blake, I would like you, if you don't mind, just start out by describing what has been your participation in the home-based business industry up until now. Take it from the first until now. Encapsulate it, but tell people who you are, where you've been, what you've done. Blake Farmer.
Hey, everybody. Great to be with you tonight. I'm Blake Schroeder. As you know, I'm the president of LEV.AI. I got started in the business. I went to law school and quickly figured out that litigating was not a good way for me to make a living. And so I had a friend who was an owner of a direct selling company, actually. And I called him, not wanting to go work for his company, but just to get some feedback and advice because he was also an attorney. And he said, "Oh man, you need to come down here and interview with us." And I said, "Oh man, the last thing I want to do is work for your company." I really didn't have any interest in being involved, but he kind of twisted my arm. I went down there and loved the project. Of course, I loved him, and so I decided to do it. I was general counsel for that company for 2 years until we successfully had recruited actually Randy to come over to the company. And they asked me if I wouldn't move to Israel and open the company there because he had some leadership there. So I moved to Israel for a year and opened the company there. And then they asked me to open their European business. So I ended up moving to Portugal and opened their European business for them. We were probably on about a $50 million run in Europe, probably after, 18 months into it or so. So a phenomenal success. That company was going to be sold, and I was, kind of close to second in charge at that point, and I was a bit concerned about what might happen when the company was sold. And so I started looking for what might be next. I had a short stint at a different company, but I came down here to San Diego and met some guys who had a company called Medical Marijuana Inc. And they were a unique bunch of people because they didn't sell any marijuana. They were involved. They had launched the world's first ever non-psychoactive cannabis-based products. And so got into some discussions with them and decided to accept an offer to come down here and run their company. I was the CEO for a company called Medical Marijuana Inc. and also for its subsidiaries, one of which is a direct selling company called Canaway. So I had a great run there. My first year we did $5 million. It was very, very small. Second year, 35, third year, 60, fourth year, 80, fifth year, 80. And then the next year after that was the COVID year. We backed down to $60 million. Had a phenomenal run. I decided that it was time for me to kind of move on from cannabis. Had a really nice separation agreement with them. And so have been following along with their policy. That expired earlier this year, though, and had the opportunity to be introduced to some of the founders and the ownership group of LEV.AI and decided to get involved. So here we are.
Thank you. And so I wrote down a couple of notes here of people. And because it's easier for me to talk about individual circumstances than it is to talk about broad. And so you referenced the fact that our first experience building a business together was in Israel, and that you moved to Israel and you spent some time there. I, of course, have interest in every market and every group of people, but we are gathering together a leadership group once again in Israel. And so, what would you say specifically? I know that it could be in any market, but what would you say to the people in Israel who have watched United States companies come and go and come and go? What would you say to our friends in Israel about our commitment to that market and any other comments you have to make about that?
Oh, well, if there's some people I know on here from Israel, great to be with you again and hope to be able to see you in the future at some point. Had a phenomenal time there opening our business. I remember I moved to Israel. I didn't have First of all, I didn't know the last thing about Israel. Second of all, at the time, we didn't have an entity established or an office or an employee or a single product in the market. And so I was fortunate to get to understand how things work in your part of the world and also experience your culture for a year while I was there. And remarkable. I mean, I always tell people if you go one place that you haven't been before, that's where you maybe ought to think about going because you can learn so much in Israel. Look, I think we're going to have a global opportunity. And so anybody, Israelis included, but anybody who lives in the international market, who wants to build an international business, I think that we've identified a way to do it a bit more easier than in the past. A lot of times direct selling companies end up being product-based companies. And no matter how good you are, those are never fast. Shipping inventory around the world and the products end up being expensive because, it is expensive to ship products around the world.
Recording in progress.
You've got to have a local on the ground experience in order to facilitate any meaningful size business doing business that way. A service-based company is a lot different, especially one like ours. It's multilingual, it's ready to go today. And it can be useful for small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, sidepreneurs, affiliates, influencers all over the world. And so I would say, for anybody, but would love obviously to have some Israelis involved in our business. I've had great experience.
So I wondered if you would make comment on it, but we have had fantastic experiences in Israel, and we've also had some really, really frustrating experiences. Why? Because delivering a product, a tangible product to Israel, and then determining, is it going to be OU certified? Is it going to be Badat certified? Who is the rabbi we're going to deal with? I wondered if you might comment on the ability, on the different possibility we have delivering a digital product, not just Israel. But I chose Israel when I asked you to comment on that because of the uniquenesses of the markup. But comment a little bit about your perception of the evolving industry and why digital is the correct direction right now.
Yeah, I think, for me, I had already given up on the idea of really searching out any company that was in the physical product space to go lead. For the same number of reasons. You have to register products all over the world. And then, I'll tell you how you can know if you've got a good product because somebody's going to copy it in about 2 seconds. And they can, now with the advent of everything that's at all of our fingertips today, I mean, you can reverse engineer things like that if you want to. And man, it's just real. And plus, at least here in the US, I mean, you got people out there who are specifically looking at market trends and new products every single day. And if you've got something good, somebody will copy it, put it on Amazon and undercut your price right there. And it just becomes extremely, extremely challenging. One of the results of that is that you end up with a distributor force who thinks that they have to invent, ways to sell your product and ways why they think your product is better than what's on the market, and maybe ways that you wouldn't like them to do that. And then all of a sudden you end up becoming like this magic potion for like every element that exists on the planet. And, that's not, for a guy like me, that's no fun. And so being involved in services is totally different, but the same things apply. What we have here is salespeople. Everybody on here is a partner. You don't need to be an expert in AI. What you need to be is a conduit to information to lead people to a solution that works for their business. That's always how sales has always worked. It's how it will always work in the future. If you try to become like the next AI guru, first of all, there's only going to be a handful of those. And so you'd be admitting right off the bat that you're going to be one of only a handful of people that can ever succeed in this type of business. And I don't think that's true at all. What you can very, very successfully do and very easily with the tools that we've positioned is learn how to position yourself so that you're top of mind, front of mind to people who may be interested in our product at any given point in time. And the tools that we've built will help you to do that.
Beautiful. So, Larry, I'm just going to ask you to chime in here, and you pose whatever question or whatever thoughts you have at this second.
Hey, absolutely. First of all, Randy and Blake, thank you for having me here. And Blake, I know we all know that, India is probably more than 50% of our database. So we got a big group in India, and I want to give a shout out to Robin and Marty. I mean, they really brought that team in. So Blake, what tomorrow we're going to be launching probably I think about 170 countries. Very excited. I know India is one of the main ones. So what have we got in place? I've got a lot of global teams on tonight listening, just how the rollout and everything's going to be going.
Awesome, and congrats on the massive team, Larry. It's really, really exciting. I'm very excited about it. I think, look, any company that rolls out globally, there's lots of issues that come into play, and every single market has its own little unique characteristics. Kind of like we talked about on the webcast last week. India in particular implemented new ways of credit card processing, like seriously 2 weeks ago, right when we were downstream planning for the launch of our business. Not much we can do about it, right? So, but you have these complexities all over the world. Here's what I would recommend for people. Um, Tomorrow when the company launches, um, you know, use PayPal as your first alternative when checking out and paying for the product, because I have a high degree of confidence that PayPal is going to work really, really well. We're also going to roll out the credit card options tomorrow. I suspect that they're going to work well in some countries, and I also suspect that there's some countries where they may not work so well. And what's super important, everyone, I want everyone, and I'm sure you do too. I know you do. Everyone on the call wants their customer to have just a phenomenal experience, being able, from A to Z, right? When they first see the opportunity or the product to having interest, then being able to go in and purchase and then use the technology that we've built. So I would say, let's make it as good as an experience, given that we're launching a global business in a matter of 6 weeks, as best as we can. So let people know the best and easiest way to pay for the product is going to be PayPal. Credit cards are going to be there tomorrow as well. Like I said, I'll repeat myself. I think they're going to work really well in some markets, and I think that they're going to be somewhat challenging in other markets. So instead of testing that out for yourself, why don't you just go straight with PayPal and use that, because we do have a high degree of confidence there. But we want to launch the credit cards as well, because at the end of the day, what we need is data back, right? Because we're going to be able to troubleshoot issues as they come back. And if we see in a market a challenge that, our acceptance rates are low or whatever, then we can implement strategies. A lot of that is unknown, given that we're launching into over 100 countries, as you referenced, and it would be physically impossible for us to kind of understand every single one of them at this point in our timeline.
Thank you, Blake.
Mike, if I could ask another question again, whenever I use a name, it's just because people are what I see. I don't see crowds. I see people. I see individuals. And individuals have families, and individuals have obligations to meet. One of the great people on here, and they're all great. One of the great people on here is my friend Ellie Michelle, who's in Mexico, and Ellie Michelle has been working eagerly, impatiently for the right thing to come down the line. And as we all know, the direct selling industry has changed, and there are people who will be advocates and users of our product who have no interest in building a business. But there will also be people, those of us whose careers have been in direct selling. Ellie Michelle was a big time player in one of the prominent network marketing companies. And you know what? Things that used to work don't work quite as well as they used to. And it's been challenging for some people in the industry. What would you say, not just to Ellie, but to all other people who have been rooted in the direct selling industry, who now find themselves making this pivot to digital and trying to understand what is the magnitude of the opportunity? What would you say to Ellie in Mexico, and comment a little bit about pricing of our services, how it fits in the marketplace? Just some thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think that sometimes we all can get caught up in you know putting ourselves as our first concern instead of understanding what it is that people want. And the more that you can understand what people want, the better of a solution that you can provide for them. And so this isn't about what you want. This is about what people that you're talking to want. And so also, it's not a great idea just to go talking to every single person that right off the bat about something that they may not want. Right? It's best to warm those up a little bit and find out what they want. And then if somebody's like, hey, yeah, I'm starting this business tomorrow, and God, I have to build a website, and I'm great. I've got a great solution for you, right? An amazing solution, actually. So you kind of got to warm up your contacts. This is not about just a shotgun type approach and get it all out there. I do think we have a really, really good product that is massively, in my opinion, underpriced. I think that we deliver so much value in our product set and product offering. And for this segment of business, it's just perfect. There's not anything that I'm aware of that is a total entire feature set that will overcome the challenges that influencers, affiliates, and direct sellers have, all in one place that's super easy accessible, that works well together, and is easy to use. Like I said on the webcast on Wednesday, we're going to get into product training. I think there's so much more in the products than you're going to understand when you first start using them. Like once you drill down a little bit, there's so much utility there, but at the same time, it's super easy to get started and use with. In a place like Mexico, gosh, I thought that Larry, you're gonna have to remind me, who did we interview from Atlanta on Wednesday night?
Oh, a gentleman, Eric, and his business partner down in Atlanta.
I mean, he was phenomenal, I thought, in his presentation. And he was explaining how, look, I'm building a business and I can get paid 50% of every single person that I bring into the business, every single time I bring somebody in, and it's not expensive. And then I get 20% on the recurring every single time. When I think of markets like Latin America, I mean, this is so up your alley. Now, it is a different way of building. Traditionally, direct selling businesses have been built in depth. And, look, I'm telling you right now, this compensation plan will pay out any more as a percentage of revenue than any plan that I've ever involved with. But you have to understand how to build it. This is going to, yes, we have components of the plan that will pay you for building in depth. With that, you can really earn a lot from a lot of personal enrolling, and then making sure that you take care of your customers so they can stay on subscription. And for countries in Latin America, this it's perfect. This is how businesses have been successfully built in Latin America for a long time anyways. So I think a great opportunity for those people in Mexico.
Okay. Larry, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Hey, absolutely. I think, Blake, one of the key things here, I was just talking to one of my gentlemen that's a team member, and he was just asking about like trainings and things like that. I think the key, what we've got here at LEV.AI, is if people can understand the power of the tools and how to use them, because I think AI absolutely is the hottest ticket on the planet. We've seen how fast this has grown. But do you know that corporate, some things that they have coming out, and they have a lot of people asking if we have tools maybe that are coming in Spanish, because our Spanish market is really starting to grow. But yeah, just I really want people to educate them on how strong the products are. And I believe we can have millions of people in this company. I absolutely do.
Absolutely. So first of all, we're using YouTube as our hub to host all of our trainings, tutorials, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't yet done it, go on to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, LEV.AI HQ. That's where we're posting them. There's new tutorials posted almost every single day. We're on the weekend right now, so maybe not as much, but almost every day they're posting new tutorials in the back office. Now, it's kind of like we talked about on Wednesday, Larry. We're working on getting the company up and rolling and making it so that customers can have a great experience. The fun part will be when we can start diving into the technology and really teaching people about it and exactly how to use it, and a little bit that might not be totally apparent right from the get-go. And then, look, AI is constantly in evolution. There's new things coming all the time, and we don't intend to just, be dormant. We're going to be adding feature sets at all times. And yes, we're talking a lot about, AI and how we're leading in the marketplace, as opposed to, right now we update every Wednesday on our global rollout, right? And we have to. It'll be really fun when we can get into more details about the product and show demonstrations. Of course, we'll have our full tutorial set up there. But yeah, I mean, the market's interested, obviously, and we think we've got a great product. And yes, we're going to start talking a lot and training a lot and teaching a lot on it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Blake, again, it's easier for me to talk about individual circumstances. And so I have another friend on this Zoom. Her name is Barbara Jennings. Barbara is a real estate agent, and her interest is not in growing a LEV.AI business. Her interest is in growing her real estate business and utilizing LEV.AI. And of course, what we all know, or what I'm hoping that we know, is that we really find ourselves in one of three environments. One environment is that we're going to use LEV.AI in our business, our real estate business, our automobile business, our attorney business, whatever it is. Another camp, we're going to use LEV.AI as a business, being a conduit to other people's use. And then the third opportunity is to do a little bit of both. So what would you say specifically now to one who intends to use LEV.AI in their business, not as a business? And I know that there's a little bit of confusion because people get online and they hear presentations. There's a little bit of a mix match, because they get online. If Barbara's joining tonight to learn about how to use LEV.AI in her business, she's not really learning about that. When do we transition into teaching people? Maybe you just said it, but when do we transition into teaching people how to use these tools in their business, whether it be real estate, mortgage, automobile, or anything else? Where will those tutorials be posted? And will that be separate flow of information from what comes to those who are using it as a business?
Yeah, most definitely. So, if it were me building the business, I would never invite a member or a customer onto like a weekly, LEV.AI session. Those LEV.AI sessions are meant for partners who are building the business. It's a sales meeting, right? For salespeople. Like I would never want my customer in my sales meeting. Those are two completely different things, right? And so for a person like her, look, she's being taught and trained what she needs to do by whoever recruited her into that business or whatever, branch or company she works for. I'm sure they have, training and that kind of thing. I know because I worked for an insurance company for a little while and I know how it works. Now, we have tools that can make their lives a lot easier. So it's like we talk about all the time. Real estate agents, insurance agents, any types of agents, they have to do the same thing that we all have to do when, if you want to build a LEV.AI business, they got to build a list. They got to be constantly maintaining their list. They got to know what to say to their list. They need to know how to follow up. They need, they have steps in order to successfully capture a sale. And that's the exact, you know, that's the exact bag of goods that LEV.AI really is targeting here. It's teaching somebody who may not even know how to best prospect. Like, for Barbara, for example, when she gets in there, if she hasn't already done, I hope she has, and creates her profile, she's going to put in there that she works for whichever company she works for, or whether she's got her own business, she's going to put it in there. The AI is going to get to know what that business is. It's then going to help her in whatever she writes or posts or whatever. It's going to lean on the information that it knows about that business and her potential customer demographic. And it's going to help her to make better decisions about what she says with respect to the people that she's trying to make outreach to. And then when now this is all online, by the way, that's what this is targeted to do. Nothing, in my opinion, will ever replace just regular interface like this in person. But, there's all kinds of written communications, whether you're going to send out a mailer or you do it by email or online. Then, it tracks the engagement. So if somebody likes that post, the system is going to go in and you can identify, okay, here's how you should respond to that. If somebody comments on it, well, that's a different type of engagement. Okay, here's how you ought to respond to that, so on and so forth. And so really, for our types of businesses that we're targeting, it's all about prospecting, number one, and then engaging with the customer, making a sale, and then customer retention. So for example, right now, like, I don't know whether the brokerage that she works for has like a fully engaged CRM, and if they do, whether they've taught her to be able to utilize it or not. Well, the LEV.AI tool has a CRM built in. And so now, once you've uploaded your contacts, you can basically, then you can, the AI engine can help you to craft a monthly update email or communicate with your list, however it is that you want to engage. And you can pick which of the people from your list, and it will put it all together for you very nicely. And so now you've got a fully baked in CRM, which most small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, sidepreneurs, affiliates, A, don't really understand, or B, if they do understand it, realize that it's going to cost them too much money to implement otherwise. And so they're kind of stuck with whatever piecemeal they've got.
Hey, Blake, and I'll say, one of the main things, I'll let you go next, Randy. One of the main things that I really saw, first of all, Blake, you were here and I knew Terry was behind it and Randy as well. That was one of the reasons I jumped on board. But when I really saw the power, how this company and these products can fit with any business, I just got off the phone with somebody that says, well, I've got a travel company. I was like, can you imagine if all of your agents in your travel company could speak 150 languages? That's what we have here. It's going to open up global markets. It doesn't matter if it's a crypto company, if it's travel, if it's products, if it's nutrition, we are in the pocket that we can work with any company. That is absolutely massive. It is also marketing. We're helping people build business. This is a complete tax write-off. But I've never had something that no matter what they tell me they do, I know that LEV.AI can help them. It can 10x their sales, 20x their sales, 40x their sales. And, I've got a lady on here right now. I see, she has a company she works for. It's an app company. It's going global. And I was like, this is going to help you be able to speak their languages in markets in Germany or wherever. But you got to remember too, tomorrow we're opening up 170 countries. Those people, some of the people over in my markets, like my team in Vietnam, they can't speak to me without a translator. They're going to be able to speak English to me now after 25 years of working with them. This is absolutely life-changing. I just want people to realize, I've been on the journey with some people 10, 20, 30 years, and this is the one that they're so excited about because we are in the right place at the right time. But what people have to do, you have to go in, you have to upgrade, you got to get started before you can achieve anything. You also have to go in and you have to learn the tools. You have to go through, watch the videos. There's like 7 or 8 videos right now on the corporate YouTube channel. I think it's 30 minutes to watch all 7 videos. You literally can get so much education off that. But this is something like Blake just said, something so powerful. AI is going to continue to develop. It's going to continue to get bigger and better. We now have almost like an AI university. We're educating people. We're showing people how to use, like Randy said, how to use AI to build their business, but we're also letting people earn as they share this membership. So we have everything in this package that people can grow from. So I'm just excited to be here with both of you. And I just wanted to say that because, like I said, there's a lot of happy people. So thank you.
Thank you. Blake, this next one, I don't know if you'll even have a comment on. I don't know, but parts of our leadership group, because they do what leaders do, have attracted people from another company who was struggling. And the name of that company is On Passive. And it seems right now like the struggles are getting even greater. And so there's like 1,200,000 people who had enrolled in that company because of the intrigue and enthusiasm of AI. And they delivered a message, a promise that they couldn't act upon. And so I've had some people say, wow, that's an incredible opportunity because other companies are struggling. And then I've had some say, how do we know we can deliver what they could not? And my response is, well, we already have, but I'll just ask you to comment on that. So just comment on however you'd like to about that.
Sure. I don't know anything about that company, and don't even know anything about that company. I know I've got a good track record of delivering. I'm embarrassed about what happened last week. I thought we were going to be able to launch the company, and then we weren't going to. And then we didn't feel confident about it at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's going to be a 3-day delay. So we'll launch on Monday. I mean, nothing speaks louder than actions. So what actions have we taken? I mean, the company was launched in the US and Canada ahead of the time that we committed to. So for anybody who's out there wondering whether or not we're capable of executing on what we say we are, well, we delivered about a week ahead of time than we committed to in the US and Canada. Which means that when we launch on Monday, tomorrow, we will also be 2 days ahead of time in terms of what we committed to in launching the entire company. It was a mistake for the company to send out an email saying that we were, stating a specific day, but mistakes happen all the time, and here we are. So again, launching throughout the world tomorrow, Monday. I expect things to happen very, very smoothly in some places. I would suggest that everybody use PayPal to the extent they have them. If they don't, go set up a PayPal account. There will be places in the world where it will just take a minute to catch up, where we can find failures with respect to declines. But get in. Use the tool, understand the tool. You'll never, ever be able to attract a customer base unless you can understand for yourself the greatness of the tool that we have that we are launching.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that our number one priority is to get mass activity? We need to get every person to act on the fact that we can make our account active now. The next 3 days, 4 days, 5 days are days you can invest to learn how the tool works so you can become effective immediately behind that. But
Right.
and I will turn it over to you, Blake, but for me, the great big thing is how will we be able to teach someone else how to use a tool that we're not yet using? And if we have to poke and prod around a little bit, whether it be PayPal or this or the next thing, to get it activated. Seems to me like job number one is to get as many people as we can activated to begin using the system so we can start talking about some success stories.
Kind of funny. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, of course, I've met a lot of people on these webcasts and Zooms. And of course, some people figure out ways to get in touch with me because, today there's any number of ways you can get in touch with people, and I get all kinds of feedback one way or the other. And I decided a few days ago that before I start responding to people, I'm going to see what kind of action people have taken themselves, because it doesn't merit my time otherwise, right? I mean, somebody will send me this litany of things that he or she believes that, that we ought to do. And it's like, okay, has this person enrolled yet? Has this person completed their membership application yet? Has this person subscribed yet? Has this person enrolled a single person yet? I mean, how am I going to sit there and take all this into account? So action precedes everything, not only in this business, but life. And it's much, much, much louder than words. You can say all you want till you're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. People are just generally skeptical anyways, unless they really, really know you, right? I mean, I could talk to Larry because I know him. And I've got a level of trust with Larry. So when I say something, he believes me. And then if something doesn't go the right way, he understands because we've got a working relationship and a history, right? People are just generally skeptical. And so they want to see action. And so look, on the company's part, that's true. We got to deliver, and we got to deliver all of the time. And we can't fall short of our commitments. And I don't expect to. On the partner side of the business, it's the same. Like, you can never expect somebody on your team to do something that you haven't done. Like, that's just the definition of total craziness, right? They're not going to get going unless you get going. That's just the bottom line. I understand probably some people waiting to see what happens when we pull the trigger internationally. That's wasted moments in my opinion. But we're now we're a day away. We're going tomorrow unless something catastrophic happens. So now's your moment, and you get to decide. Every single person gets to decide, okay, am I going to take action now, and am I going to leverage this moment? Or am I going to wait and see a little bit longer, and 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 then before you know it, it's a little bit too late. So decisions up to every single person.
And would you comment just a little bit, because some of these folks are quite familiar with LeClaire Enterprises and others are not. Comment just a little bit on who is Terry LeClaire and what is his company, and what is your confidence?
Sure. Listen, we're supported by LeClaire Enterprises. They have a full suite of services. We're very, very excited. There's no way that we could have pulled off a launch of any company that we launched, even in the US and Canada, within the matter of weeks that we, kind of came together. And again, I want to be really clear when we talk about that. This product has been under development for a long, long time. We did move up our launch implementation of that because we had some opportunities staring us in the face that we wanted to get after. Tomorrow we'll have launched, most of the world. There's no way that we could do that without that supportive infrastructure. So great relationships all the way around, smart people. The company is supported by a really, really good infrastructure, and we'll leverage it for sure as we get the company off the ground.
So Blake has 50% of my DNA, but the part he does not have, he says that I'm the guy that runs with scissors. Blake doesn't run with scissors. Blake walks, and he makes sure that the scissors have covers on them. and there's wisdom to that. So Blake, you've been around this now. You and I together, and sometimes separately, but you and I together have seen just about everything that this industry has to offer. And so what is your gut? In fact, I should say it this way. I'll say it now, Blake. Blake stayed away from the network marketing industry for the last couple of years. And yes, it's true there was a non-compete that had to expire, but it took something to draw you back in. And so what drew you back in? Why are you here? You kind of made a decision to move on into other directions in your career, but you're here. Why?
I think, first of all, I've been fortunate in my career a couple times to run into opportunities that, they're both surrounding products that were both just so unique and innovative. Right. I mean, there was no acai in this country before the company that I went to work for. And, all of a sudden it's on Dr. Oz and it's on Oprah Winfrey and it's their product. And our third year in business, the company did $878 million in sales or something like that. I mean, it was crazy. And I love that product. I really did. I love the product and I love the culture of the company. And the challenge was, it's like I said earlier, you'll know if you've got something good because it'll be copied. And then all of a sudden there was, acai bowls on every street corner, right? Then I met these guys down here in San Diego, and at the time it was 2016. I had never even heard of anything from cannabis that wasn't marijuana, and I didn't even know there was any utility outside of that. And then I kind of did some research and studied, and they were the only people with the product on the market, and that created a very, very unique and distinct opportunity. And so that was a ton of fun. We're staring at that all over again. I mean, we're certainly not the first company to delve into the AI space. I mean, but I think we can claim a stake to being one of the first to putting together a suite of tools that is for a specific demographic. As you look at the market, it's so segmented. Somebody made me laugh the other day. They sent me this message and they're like, "Hey, Blake, our chat feature doesn't work as good as Chat GPT." And I'm like, well, did it take a rocket scientist to figure that out? I mean, I don't know how many billions of dollars OpenAI raised to launch Chat GPT. Okay. And to think that, our product would compete with that. However, let me tell you something. Chat GPT by itself isn't going to build you a website. It's not going to teach you how to prospect. It's not going to build a CRM for you. It's not going to build an email campaign for you. Well, it might build an email campaign for you, but it's probably not going to be able to spit it out and retain it. So yes, ChatGPT is amazing. I would never sit here and claim that our product is competitive with that. However, we're focused on a tool suite that's for a particular demographic that I think that we can really, really help to succeed. So when you look at all that, and then, one of the things that I've been passionate about, that I care about, that I think the industry in general has struggled with is this whole notion of internal consumption, and we can build sustainable businesses based on internal consumption alone. And I just don't agree with that anymore. You need real customers for this product. And I believe that we have a product for people like Barbara, I think that's her name that you mentioned to me earlier today, who can just massively benefit over the long term from the use of our product. And I think that creates an opportunity that is really lucrative and can go on forever and ever and ever, so long as the company continues to innovate, develop, and improve its product for that market base, which I think we're going to do. Oh, you're on.
Oh, Randy, you're muted, buddy.
I was asking you, what are your thoughts? Sorry.
Oh, I'm super excited. I know tomorrow a lot of people are like, when are we going to go live? When are we going to go live? But I know the company will roll it out. And Blake, I just had one question. I've got a lot of people that are also excited about the lead system, because a lot of people join that because it really helps you build your business. I know you've probably seen a little bit more than we have. Is there anything you can elaborate on that? A lot of people are they going to be able to have enough leads for all of us, everybody that's got a membership? So just how that would roll out.
Sure. Thanks for asking, Larry. It's not, first of all, it's not designed the way that I'd like it to be designed right now. So if you're super into that, like, I'd say have at it, because we haven't been able to build the fence around it like I want to build the fence around it. What I've seen work with salespeople and sales forces in my past is when you have really, really well-defined systems that people can follow that will lead to results, right? And so the way that we had contemplated rolling that out, and we just didn't have a time to change the functionality in the system, was that people that signed up for the pro package they'd have 3 leads a day populated into, like, if you've been in the AI platform tool, into that top right box on the website. And so every day, if you paid for that subscription, you're going to have 3 there. And then it's to teach people, okay, you should be making 3 new contacts every single day. By the way, your 3 new contacts shouldn't just come from this lead program. However, when you're just barely getting started and learning how to do it, okay, fine, try it out, right? You'll gain the confidence over time after using the tool that not all of your leads will have to just be 100% cold leads. But that was the idea. So every day, 3 a day, and then you can get into a system. You can start teaching people, okay, guys, it's 3 a day. We need to make contact with 3 new people every single day. Again, when I talk about one of the challenges in our business, building and maintaining a candidate list, like, that's one of the inputs. right? You have to actually open your mouth and talk to people, or you have to sit down on your computer and write a message. Then you got to send it out, however it might be. And our tools can help you to do that. So as it stands right now, if you paid for that premium package, you can go in. I think it's under my marketing, I think, in the LEV.AI tool platform, and it will just pull up a new lead for you if you put in the information about the type of person that you would want to have as your lead. Now, a lot of people have sent me messages and said, well, Blake, why can't I have 1,000 of these right now? And I'm like, well, because remember, our target market, we're not a macro opportunity. Small businesses are not macro at all. Influencers, affiliates, direct sellers, this is a very micro oriented business. So I'm not just going to give you 1,000 contacts that you can upload into a CRM and blast all these people cold, right? No way. It's one by one by one by one. That's how these businesses are built. And so we're not going to enable a way for you to sort of circumvent that, because I know that will work at the end of the day. So right now they can go in, like the people that have paid for the premium subscription. I'm not even sure there's a limit on it right now, like have at it. In the future, we're going to fence that off a little bit and they'll pop up on the upper right. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm just telling you it's important. We're focused right now, though, on getting the company out to the general public and making it so that people can get in and get paid, get subscribed, and start sharing the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Blake, thank you a lot for being on here. What is there that you'd like to say that I haven't asked you? What would you like people to know? Here are people, we've brought them to the threshold of what I consider to be the most remarkable possibility of my career. Some see it, some don't. What would you say to people right now that I haven't asked you?
Well, first of all, if you're already a part of the company, thank you for being a part of our journey. I can't wait for you to use the product if you haven't used it yet. I'm still a bit amazed by the number of people in the United States and Canada that I know they're logging into their websites because I can see their behavior, but they haven't like moved themselves from the pre-enrollment phase to actually, paying their subscription and being a member. And we unfortunately haven't had time to put together the campaigns to email out to everybody to, hey, everybody, now's the time and all that kind of stuff, right? People are still asking me the question, when should I get my team placed? Man, if you're in the United States and Canada, I can't imagine why they aren't placed already. You've had that ability for quite some time now. Get in there, understand the tool. Like the biggest objection we all have, not objection, the biggest reason, me myself included, that any of us tend to avoid something is when we're uncertain or we're afraid. And there's only one way to remove the uncertainty. That's to log in and start testing around and fumbling around and using the tool. That'll gain confidence and it will remove fear. So if you're in the US and Canada, thank you for having been part of our pre-enrollment. If you haven't yet gone in, got your subscription set up, done your placements, do it tonight. There's not a reason to wait till tomorrow. Do it tonight and let's get going. If you live internationally, man, we're really, really excited to roll the company out tomorrow. I've already given some tips on, I don't need to repeat it again. I think in general, if you're here and you've enrolled into LEV.AI, but you're part of the, direct selling industry, otherwise, whether it's affiliate based or direct selling based or whatever it is, maybe open your mind a little bit to the opportunity that is presenting itself here. First of all, it's going to be global in nature. And second of all, I think that direct selling has underperformed when it comes to its customer demographics, including affiliates and influencers in particular. I think that as an industry, we've not done a great job attracting them in. And the reason why is because we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole for them. Affiliates notoriously, they don't like coming to webcasts. They don't want to talk. They don't want to be recognized. They want to sit in their basement and put together a web funnel and have somebody click on it and earn some money and never ever talk to anybody about it. Well, that's massively different than direct selling, but all the time in direct selling, we're talking about, well, let's build an affiliate program. Well, no, they're never going to want to be part of our recognition sessions, for example. That's like the last thing they want. Okay. So, but think about this tool now. Affiliates, for the longest time, they need the same training as we need. They need to know what to say to all of their customers when they're building their sales funnels. They need CRMs to be able to keep track of their customers. And a lot of them don't have access to those very simple tools. So you just think about that one demographic alone. Think about how many direct selling companies have tried to implement unsuccessfully, in my view, affiliate programs. And that's a massive, massive, massive market that is captive and waiting for something like this that can improve their business. So I just think there's so much opportunity. Also, I'm proud that we're not engaged, in like I read about you guys read about them all the time too. And one of these companies that is running around the world and charging people $3,000 to get started in their whatever they're doing. And man, they take off like rocket ships and they never ever deliver not a single thing to their customers. And a bunch of people end up getting ripped off. I mean, you can see it coming a mile away, unfortunately. I mean, guys, we're running a $99 program. Okay, we're not trying to get in any market and collect a whole bunch of money and get out. We think that we've got a great product that offers tremendous value at a really good price that can help a very, very wide customer base. So a little bit different. And for Latin America, it's like we talked about, and Rodney was the guy that was on here the other night and did such a good job explaining it. In Latin America and in Southeast Asia, they just live differently than a lot of us in North America live. They're operating on incomes of what? I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 a month, and they're doing really, really well. Think about that. Every $50 bang for them is a significant, significant income. Here that won't buy fast food anymore in the United States of America, but in other places, that is significant, significant income. And we're giving them a product that can massively benefit their customers. Now, they do have to find the right types of customers, right? You got to find somebody who wants to be in business for themselves. Well, that person can massively benefit from our tool. You're on mute again.
You're muted, Randy.
My background noise. Larry, any final question or comment for Blake?
Oh, I'm just so glad Blake's here. I just, one thing I feel like everybody should know is, just think about the power of this, the twin coming out. When you put that up on your Facebook and you're speaking Japanese, you're going to have so many people asking you, how are you doing that? How can I do that? And just a quick story, I've got an identical twin and we're like our dad, we're network marketers, but we've got that other brother who is absolutely not. He's the one that's told me for the last 30 years I should get a 9-to-5 job. But he literally, I showed him the technology of me speaking Spanish, and he knows that I do not speak Spanish. And he's got a lot of Spanish speaking people at his job. And he's like, I need that. So that is somebody that I never thought I'd ever get in any company that I ever worked for. And it's just going to be that easy. And the other thing with these tools is once you learn how to use them and once you get organized, you will be able to use these tools and grow your contact list and have them literally for the rest of your life for whatever business you go into. So I'm just super excited. This was the best decision I've ever made. And I've got so many amazing people that are in my team that I know are going to have the biggest win of their life. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Larry. And so, Blake, now the rubber kind of hits the road tomorrow, right? I mean, to a degree, it started last week, but it's understandable why people who big parts of their organizations are multinational didn't launch yet. In my estimation, the rubber kind of hits the road tomorrow. And so, what are any? And by the way, folks, even before I ask Blake for his concluding thoughts, all of you, please remember this session. If you've not before been involved in a company where we could invite the guy who's running the company to come on here and just ask questions, be available to us, you should start to sense the difference today in what you might have experienced in the past. Blake is in this with us. Blake doesn't tell us what to do. Blake communicates with us and says, what shall we do together? That makes this different. That being said, Blake, I'm so grateful that you were here, but what are any final thoughts, comments you might have for this crowd of people here this evening?
I think if you want to have anything in your life, take on a successful course, you've got to take a massive amount of action. You got to make a decision, and then you got to take a massive amount of action. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that tomorrow is going to be completely flawless. And I can't sit here tomorrow and tell you tomorrow that I don't think that, somebody somewhere in the world is going to run into some challenge, right? They are. It's going to happen. And we're going to address them as quickly as we can. If you ever want something to be successful in your life, though, what you must do is take massive action. It doesn't work otherwise. This whole right place, right time, and I was just there along for the ride. It's a total fallacy that's made up. Right time, right place, massive action. Well, that's helpful. And so, tomorrow, the right time and the right place is going to be here. The question is, are you going to take the requisite action? Some are, some aren't. And a year from now, we'll be able to recognize clearly who those people were and celebrate some of our accomplishments together. So, we've been taking massive action. It's no small lift to have accomplished in a short time what the company's accomplished. Again, I'll never defend and say it's perfect. It's not. Tomorrow's not going to be perfect either, but we believe it's going to be well functional. And as we go along, it will become perfect. So very excited for tomorrow. It's a culmination of a large amount of action that, on the corporate side, that we have for sure taken and we will continue to take on a daily basis, and looking for those partners who are going to, replicate the activity, take a massive amount of action on their part so that we can go create a lot of success together.
Mike, thank you. So, folks, obviously, I will have the most positive opinion of Blake. Blake is my son, but Blake has been my business partner for a long time, and I will tell you that the water is safe. You can invest yourself in this company. You can work knowing the company's not going to pull the plug on you. The company's not going to say things that are not true. If the company makes an error, they're going to acknowledge the error, apologize for it, and correct it. The water is safe. That's my final comment for all those of you who have been burned a time or two and don't know if you can trust. Take the risk. You can trust. Blake will not let you down. I can say that with complete confidence. Blake, thanks for being here. Larry, I'm going to give the final word to you. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm happy to be here. There's so many incredible people on this Zoom. I've been looking at the names, and just everybody have a win. This is all about timing, and we are right there in that pocket of this AI boom. I truly believe that. And I think, like Blake said, we've got a $99 offer, but you can absolutely start to share that with people, build that residual income. You're going to educate people on AI. And I'll tell you, Randy, I know we had one of the biggest bills. I've never put 40,000 people into something in about 5 weeks, and that is because of our subject matter. That is 100% because it is AI. People want to know about AI, they want to learn AI, and they want to make money from AI. And that is exactly what Leverage AI is. So just glad to be here, guys. Blake, thank you so much for your time. This meant a lot.
Everybody, thank you. Future is bright. Blake, thank you. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hey, log in
Bye, guys.
Wednesday because we'll be reviewing on our webcast all the launch details, and we'll know what went well, and we'll know what we're working on by then. So see everybody on Wednesday. Thanks for the time tonight, everyone. See you soon.
Great. Hey, final
Bye,
comment.
guys.
I shouldn't have let it end. Final comment. At the end of this commission month, we will establish our first leadership council, and it will be based upon ranks, productivity, and identifiable action. The last couple of days are really important. Become a part of the brain trust. Be among those who are making decisions, as opposed to being among those who are told what the decisions are. That is productivity based. Do not let this month end without you being at one of those ranks that qualifies you to be on the initial council. Blake, thank you. Larry, thank you. And everybody
Bye,
else, God
guys.
bless. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
night. Bye-bye.